Hello, I'm Rebecca Meacham, advisor to Sheepshead Review, and I'm going to tell you a little bit now about the evolving use of color and design elements in Sheepshead Review, kind of during the heyday of its development. And we're certainly at a great place now, but some very cool things happen along the way. Essentially, this breaks down to color, graphics, and yeah, Sheepshead had a centerfold. I'll talk a little bit about this in a moment. So in fall 2007, our editor-in-chief, Kate Visti, decided it was time for color. And Kate was an incredibly ambitious and visionary editor-in-chief. And Sheepshead Review had had color covers, full color covers. And even up till this time, occasionally we do an insert with special paper where we'd have some color pages featuring visual arts in the middle of the magazine as a sort of like special section of color, but not very often. So up until this point, we had a pretty much a black and white issue. So what Kate decided to do was let's do color. And so with this issue, we launched an incredibly beautiful journal that had all kinds of really cool design elements, as you can kind of see here. And you have Kate's letter to the public. I want color, and here we go. So this was a wonderful launch, and it really affected how Sheepshead started to look and what Sheepshead started to do, and designers started to do, and editors-in-chief, and everyone that kind of worked on the journal started to do, and the ways they thought about the way pages should look, paper should be, what kinds of varnishes and effects should be on the covers. Lots of stuff started to change. First thing is, going back to some ideas about the Rising Phoenix Visual Arts winner, we see on the right side of this slide the cover, and then inside the winning image rather, and then inside in the inside cover, the spread that you see is actually just sort of the inside cover treatment of it, where the colors are really punched up. So this is very next spring. We're seeing lots of excitement on the page. This is a pretty designy issue. And as I said, we were phasing out the ability for people from all over the place to enter their work into the Rising Phoenix contest. So this is the first issue where we see only UW Green Bay students are eligible for the Rising Phoenix, and there are awards in all 4 genres and separate celebrity judges for all 4 genres. So this is a pretty sophisticated thing. Again, this contest happens every spring semester. But a few things about this issue really kind of stick out. So this is the way that the issue looks. This is one of the Rising Phoenix winners. It was a poem here, as you can see. And you can see that we call this issue, looking back, kind of the very designy issue. It uses color. It is really utilizing lots of visual elements. But one of the drawbacks, at least in conversations that we'd start having with people that actually, we over here, I come from an English background, English literature, writing. I don't really think about design elements. And when I do, I tend to get super excited about them and jazz them all up on the page. So where I look at this and see, this is really gorgeous design, other people might look at, say, for example, Man on the Street Chicago, or Fly Swatters and Hangers, the visual arts pieces, or even Monday Afternoon, and see that the work becomes part of a collage more so than an individual piece of art featured for a piece of art. If you look at The Great Flower Heist, this is a story, or I think it could be nonfiction. I'm not entirely sure. I think it's nonfiction. And yet it appears to be related as if it's like magazine content in some way, where you'd have like a glossy magazine where you'd have a designer place some sort of illustration that matched the story. It's become so close to this Monday Afternoon, which thematically, has greenery in it, and it kind of looks like kids, and maybe that has to go with like a heist or something. They look almost too neatly paired. So one thing that's sort of a drawback about this issue, even though I particularly like it and think it's really exciting, is it's quite designed. And in some cases, it's hard to tell what is the art itself and what is the graphic element on the page. What are we featuring versus the frame? You can see, though, as we move along, Lots of excitement. At this point, we do not have Rising Phoenix works on the covers, so this allows layout editors, editors-in-chief, other folks to really begin to control the look of the issue the way that they might like to. You can see this is a pretty exciting layout with lots of bubbles and lots of color splashing through. The paper's quite shiny. And what we started doing too is for a few issues, actually for a long time, we don't do it now. It's really up to what the editor-in-chief and their staff decides to do each issue. But for a very long time, we would have separate sections for each kind of art. So for each genre rather, so visual arts had its own section, poetry had its own section. And what that allowed us to do too is give these spreads, here's visual arts, now's even another way of kind of highlighting the graphic elements without it crowding out onto the pages. And it also allows the works to kind of take up the entirety of so in that bubble issue that I just showed you with all those sort of colorful bubbles, we did have a fold out issue, a bit of a fold out. And in this case, we had pages from the middle that actually folded all the way out. And different artists had sent us a series of photos that were like from class projects. They were from our campus, I think, primarily. And they all just sort of made sense as a centerfold. Now, every time you do a whistle and bell like this, like a particular finish on a cover or an insert or a kind of page that isn't just a standard page within a group of pages of a journal, it costs extra money. So I know that we added this on, and that I also know that we also paid extra for it, although this was long enough ago that I can't quite recall. But it was a pretty cool element to have. We also started really playing with, I'm sorry for the photo quality here, there are almost no issues or copies left of the blue issue on the left. It is one of the snazziest issues we've ever published. It had an Art Deco theme, and on that cover, what you're seeing is gold foil. So it is honestly the shiniest cover that we've ever made. And so those are like little tiny gold mirrors all across the cover. So there's started to be putting money towards some very interesting effects and elements of the journal, which of course, if we get the budget, I say we always go for it. It's really cool. On the right side of the page, this is what an issue that was designed, I think in 2012, and it won a local design award. It was a pretty incredible issue, and there are very few copies of that issue left either, because it's just so prized and people really want it. You can see that sometimes we bulked up our issues. I do believe the longest issue ever published of Sheepshead was 176 pages. This one was called the kidney issue, as you can see in this. The design sort of aesthetic was old anatomical drawings of organs. This issue had an incredible, this is one of my favorite issues. I think it looks incredible. I love the palette personally, and I like old anatomical drawings. But you can see the motif going all the way through. Very bold typography, a sort of crinkled page finish, a very bold palette. And again, this is a Rising Phoenix issue, so we see Rising Phoenix. I do believe these might have been done per genre. So instead of having a unique Rising Phoenix section, I think the Rising Phoenix contest winners for this spring issue were the first piece of the genre within the section. So it was kind of like the lead off piece. And you can just see this, we really started being able to very much highlight and promote the visual arts, especially when we went to full color and had the sort of paper to be able to render the art in the best framing possible. Along the way, a few more things to note. We had back matter and calls for submissions that also got kind of exciting and well designed. And this was also part moving from from the early 2000s here, where it's sort of basic, to more exciting stuff later on. That's what we have right now for the design parts of the issue, and you can see how cool things are over the years. We've done some incredible things since then as well. And that's it for this segment.